Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. You are the bridge, and today I am going to walk you through or talk you through a very easy exercise to release burdens. There's so many of us that carry a burden on our shoulders about all sorts of different things. So sometimes it's very obvious to us that we're carrying a burden. Other times it's something that we've suppressed or denied so much that we don't even know we're carrying it. But the intention behind this exercise is that the burden, even if you don't know you're carrying one, it's still good to do this exercise, because if you are carrying one and you're not aware of it because it's so suppressed, then this exercise will clear it even if you're not aware of it. And why, you might think to yourself, well, why would I clear a burden I don't even know about? Because when you're carrying something very heavy, it sits within your body and your energy field until you clear it out, until you transmute it. So it's always a good idea to do that, because whenever you're releasing anything heavy, you're lifting your vibration, you're lifting your vibration, you're raising your vibration every time you're doing that type of work. It could be classed as shadow work. So shadow work, you might have heard the term before, is all it is, shadow work is clearing and doing work on the things that are hidden. The parts of your psyche that are in shadow, the aspects of you that are denied, not looked at, suppressed, turned away from. It's the parts of you that you're not too keen on, so you don't kind of look at it much. It might be a blocked memory, for example, that is in shadow, that's hidden. So it's always a good idea to do this type of work, because every time you clear the shadow, you heal the shadow, you're bringing yourself into more of an embodiment of a lighter experience, a more blissful experience, a joyful experience, because you're literally raising the vibration of your body by clearing anything that's hidden. So a burden, what can a burden be, for example? So a burden could be anything from the past or even recently, or something that there was way back in time where you feel guilty about something and you've carried it with you for a long time. You feel embarrassed about something, totally shameful about something, carried it with you. A burden could be, say, for example, someone told you something and told you to keep quiet about it, and you're totally burdened by what you've found out and you can't say anything and you just want to speak it and express it, and you've been told you have to keep it to yourself. That can burden you. That's the type of thing we're talking about. And sometimes it's a more, like, some people say sometimes that, they don't mean it in a bad way, but sometimes their everyday life can feel like a burden. They have to work, they have to look after the kids, feed the kids, bring up the kids, do all the chores, do all of these things that sometimes makes it hard to balance life, and sometimes we feel a little bit burdened by it. We don't mean it in a nasty way, but sometimes we feel like we've got to bear these burdens and it's a lot on our shoulders. So if you do this, if that's you, you can do this exercise, and it's not like the next day after you've done the exercise, like your kids, for example, you feel a bit burdened by how busy the lifestyle is with your kids. It's not like the next day your kids are not going to be there anymore. It's just the burden of it will be taken away. So you'll still be doing all the same things, but you won't feel as burdened by it. Because with this type of work, you're saying, I want to clear the burden. I want to clear the heaviness around it. I don't necessarily want to not have that thing in my life. If it's just everyday life, for example, you just want to do it with more, again, a lightness of being and a bit more joy, rather than, oh, I feel really burdened by this. I feel like I don't get much help. Sometimes you might feel burdened if you haven't got much support. Sometimes you might feel burdened sometimes if you've got to look after somebody. But what I will say, if you're somebody, and let's be honest, sometimes you might feel like, say if you have to look after somebody who's got no one else to look after them, and sometimes you feel like it's a lot and you feel burdened by it. What is worth noticing about that is, if you're feeling burdened by having to put somebody else first, where are you not putting yourself first? Because if you're trying to help somebody when you're already on burnout yourself because you're not putting yourself first, then it's gonna feel like a burden when you're trying to help someone else. So if you're somebody that feels they have a duty to look after somebody else, you need to take time out for yourself to recharge and refuel and restore yourself, because otherwise you're no good to anybody if you let yourself run on nothing, on thin air, fresh air. So that's important to keep in mind as well. So anything that you're carrying, and you can tell some people that have carried a burden or many burdens for years, you can see it in their body, you can see it, their shoulders are stooped, they look weighed down, you know, literally weighed down, because you're holding that heavy burden on your shoulders, in your body, in your energy field. At some point it's going to show and it will manifest. Sometimes it manifests as ill health. So ask yourself, am I carrying something that I really shouldn't still be carrying? Say you're feeling guilty about something you did 20 years ago. We've lived in a world that's conditioned us that we're sinners, and we have to earn the forgiveness from a supreme being, right? The only person that you have to go to for forgiveness is yourself. It's immediately granted to you. We're all doing the very best we can with the level of consciousness that we've got, our belief systems, our thought patterns, our background, our upbringing. We're doing the best we can. So you don't need to carry guilt with you. Guilt is a pointless energy to carry, but we've lived in a world, unfortunately, that's conditioned us that if we're sinners and we have to have it passed by a supreme being if we're forgiven. To be honest, that's a load of rubbish, in my opinion. That's absolutely ridiculous. You've got the same connection with your higher self, guides, supreme being, whatever you want to call it, universe. You don't have to go to an intermediary, I think you know what I'm talking about, to get that granted. And the universe, who loves us unconditionally, would say you were forgiven immediately, no matter what it was, you know? But we carry that guilt because we feel we deserve it, and we don't. So let's start the exercise. So I'm just gonna ask you just to come into a space where you can maybe sit with a tall spine. You can lie down if you want, whatever works best for you. And just take a few deep breaths to ground yourself, to just relax and let go of anything from the day that is burdening you. Just let it all go, because it really doesn't matter in this moment. So deep breath in, deep breath out. Just a few more times. You can scan the body for any tension. Are you holding tension in the jaw? Let it go. Tension in the hands? Let it go. Tension in the chest? Let it go. You might feel tension in the legs. Do a little scan from the top to the bottom of your body and just tune in. And I can already feel, I seem to be holding some tension in my hips. I do that a lot. So I'm just going to let that go. Just relax it. Become aware of it and relax. Okay. So when you feel ready then, so think of something that you know is burdening you. If you don't know if there's anything, just set the intention that you're going to bring a burden forward, even if you don't know what it is. Because when you start doing this type of work, your consciousness, your psyche knows what you're doing. Your body knows what you're doing. It has an ancient intelligence. As soon as you set the intention to do this work, it knows what you're doing. Okay? So think of a memory, or picture a scene or something which represents the burden that you're carrying. And just see it in your mind's eye. Don't worry if you're not very good at visualization. Some of you might be able to see the picture of that burden really clearly. Others of you might not. It might be more of a felt sense. There's no right or wrong, and it doesn't matter. But if you can visualize it, this is where the third eye chakra now is projecting out that memory. And just hold it there for a second. Hold that memory there. Take a bit of time to let it coalesce in front of you. And pay attention to any feelings associated with it that might come up. They're fine. Just be curious about them. Don't judge them. Just acknowledge that they're there. Then set the intention that that memory is going to coalesce in front of you into a cloud. So if you want, you can picture a blue sky, And then in front of you, that memory is coming out of your mind. It's being projected out of the mind and is forming into a cloud in front of you. That cloud can be any colour. You know, it can take a blue colour, a black colour, a grey colour, a white colour. It may already have taken a colour before you've even decided what that colour is. So that's interesting, isn't it? When it already takes a colour. So just visualise within that cloud is that memory or is that burden. So just take a minute just to observe the cloud and the burden within it. And don't judge it in any way. And you've got the blue sky as the background and then just that cloud in front of you. Now what you're going to do is you're going to visualise the sun shining onto that cloud. So whether the sun comes from above into your visualisation, it might come from behind the cloud. You might just see light shining onto the cloud. So just take a moment for that sun to shine onto that cloud now. And as the photons of light coming from the sun shines onto that cloud, it's shining the whole cloud away. It is shining that burden away completely. The cloud might get smaller. It might disperse. It might break into a few pieces. Just allow whatever needs to happen to happen. It might do something completely different to that. But what that light is doing, it's shining light on that heavy burden and it's completely dispersing it. So just take a moment to allow that to happen. And again, don't worry if you can't see it. You can feel it. You're still setting the intention that this is happening. It's totally clearing the burden. It's completely clearing it. There's many ways you can do this type of visualization. I like to use the cloud analogy. Works for me. Some people like to visualize a balloon and you let the balloon go. So, you know, there's many different ways you can do this. So just take a moment. So the sun is shining so brightly, high vibrational sunlight onto that cloud that it's now completely disappeared. It's gone. So you've just cleared that burden. Now, you might think, oh, I don't feel like anything's shifted yet. You may have to do this exercise a few times. That's fine. You may feel as if, oh, I feel like a weight is lifted off me already. Perfect. There's no right or wrong. But I would say, even if you feel like a big burden has been lifted, it still doesn't hurt to do it for a while after this, every day, maybe once a week. And what you can do now, just to finish it off and just to close the practice, is to set the intention that the energy of that burden that's now been dispersed by the sunlight is absorbed by the universe and recycled for the highest good. So that burden held a lot of energy, because you know it holds energy because you feel it in the body. It literally holds you down. So energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. So ask the universe. The universe knows what to do. It knows how to transmute energy. Ask it and set the intention that the universe absorbs that energy of that burden and transmutes it into something more positive for you. So you've got new, fresh energy now that you can gain from this instead of the old heavy burden. And just pay attention to how you feel. Just take a moment just to stretch, rub the body. You may even want to jump up and down for a minute or shake, because what that does is it helps you to clear the energy that was stuck in the body as well. So I hope that helps you. It's pretty easy and it's pretty quick. Please let me know what you gain from that, if anything. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.